Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing, and I'm your host. If you're just tuning in, Emily Francis. And, you might actually see this particular part, Emily's Energy Corner, on YouTube or on my website. I want to make sure that you are following me. It's Emily, Emily, A like Apple, Francis, Francis. That's Emily A. Francis Books.com, and YouTube is Emily A. Francis Books. So I video the Energy Corner at the end of each of the shows so that I can keep a record of all the things that we talk about, and also to continue to share with people that are tuning in and listening. So I want to first wish you all a happy beginning of the year, and hope that you have set solid intentions. And thank you for listening, and ask that you continue to do so. I am so grateful for you and for this show. This show means so much to me, and I love coming here every Wednesday and talking to the most incredible people that I can find. And if you have suggestions of people, don't be afraid to shout out. Shoot me an email. It's also EmilyAFrancis@gmail. So you can find me everywhere. EmilyAFrancisBooks.com. Instagram, everything is Emily A. Francis. So I beg you and ask you kindly to follow. Let me know that you're there and that you're listening. We started the new year, and everybody gets really crazy that like life is going to turn over and change, and new year, new you, new this, new that, but you're still you. It's still your life. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because for the last several years of my life, I stopped partying to ring in the new year. Not that you have to do that, but I started going to Native American sweat lodges and fire walks, and then from there I got married and had kids, so my intentions are different. But I learned something spectacular about the way that I set intentions coming into the new year, which is that no matter where I am or what I do, I set an intention to create a more positive outcome. But honestly, each year builds on the year before. So we want to come into the space with gratitude for the unbelievable blessings that have happened. Because if you're here and you're listening to the show, then you're here and you're alive, and there's a reason that you're still here, and there's things for you to do. And I want you to honor that. But I don't want you to throw away the year before like, oh, you know what, that was a really hard year. Screw that year, bye-bye. We have to acknowledge our life and be grateful. And when things are really, really rough, you feel it. You have to feel your way through it. And that is a lesson that I learned from the sweat lodge, actually from the fire walk. And I want to share it with you because it was so valuable. So if you've never seen a fire walk, it is like a 10-foot long walk of these rocks that have been burning for all day and practically into the night. And they're these burning embers that are, some of them are still actually on fire, but mostly they've been put out, and they're so god-awful hot. And if you don't have the right mindset, you will burn your feet. And I did that the first year. I had extreme anxiety, and I wanted to make the cross because they ask you to make a promise that the second you step foot onto the heat, you cannot turn around. You cannot go back, and you cannot jump off to the side. So when you make the commitment to step onto those hot rocks, you must go through the fire to get to the other side. And that's the metaphor for every aspect of life. You have to go through the fire. You have to walk through that heat. Not every transition is going to be rainbows and butterflies. It's not always going to be peaceful or beautiful. Some of it's going to be sheer hell. Some of it's going to burn. The first year I did the fire walk, I had been going through just unbelievable anxiety and panic, and I wanted to make a new life for myself. And I took it so seriously to promise to step in on that fire walk and make it across. And I did the silliest things. I spread my toes out and gripped that embers on every step. And I was blistered and raw and burned between every one of my toes, my heels. It was the most unbelievable, excruciating pain. I will also say I believe they used the wrong kind of wood that year. But neither here nor there. I also think it was my own deal and the way that I chose to do it. That year was very positive, and I started to come out of my many years of haze and of watching my life pass me by. It was me taking my life back into my hands and being an active participant of the leader of my life. So the next year at New Year's, I came back to the same place with the same people, and I set to walk across, and I was terrified and fully okay with the fact that I was going to burn yet again. Except that year, I didn't burn a single thing. There was one little ember mark on one of my feet. And I walked across, and I didn't even need the trough of water that's waiting for you on the other side. I jumped up and down. I couldn't believe it. I went back and I walked it again. I couldn't believe how different one year to the next with my intention and with the way that I approached it and the openness of my heart and of my mind to be on the same team and to commit, really commit, so that each New Year's it wasn't like, oh dang, I lost my resolution in January and whatever, it wasn't a big deal. You know, in 1996, my resolution was to quit smoking. And it took until May of that year, but I haven't had a cigarette since 1996. Thank God, because now it just makes me so sick, so sick. And the next year, New Year's, my resolution was just to keep up with the last year because that was so massive. And the following year, I gave up cola, and I haven't had cola, at least a Coca-Cola or anything dark beverage since then, and that was like 98. And then from then, I didn't do that stuff where I just let go of a certain particular item, okay? And the last several years is the same thing. It hasn't been, I'm going to give this up. What I've done instead is I'm going to add this. I'm going to become more of this. I'm going to release these things. But it's not an addiction type of cycle or I have to remove this out of my life in order for me to have achieved, or I have to lose this much weight to be what I want to be. You know, that stuff shouldn't take a New Year's resolution. That stuff should be all the time. We need to take stock of our life honestly on a daily basis. Are your goals in line with who you are and how you're behaving and what you actually want? Because our goals change all the time, and it's perfectly okay for our goals to change and shift, but we have to be aware and present to those changes so that we can go with it into the shift and the change. And that's important. I want you to set a different type of intention coming into this new year to be a better version of you. Or if there's something that you've always been wanting to do, if you start sentences with, I wish I was, or I wish I could, and you're not doing anything to make that happen, then I highly encourage you to put some step into that. Just one step. And then tomorrow, another step. Or even like the old wedding step where you go right together, left together. Take a step, come back together. Take a step, come back together. Take it slow. I don't care how slow you go. Just don't stop. Don't jump off the side and don't turn back. And that's Emily's Energy Corner. Please drop me a line. Come see me on my website. Check out the YouTubes, EmilyAFrancisBooks.com. I am looking forward to next week's show with Dr. Roberto Tostado. You guys, you are in charge of making it a great week.